make better links with. I mean, I did a little bit of. I wrote a guide to ISO 55000, which was written for something called the Union of. It's UIC, which is a French Union of the Sea Chemin de Fer. So, international rail union of mostly rail infrastructure, and AMCL wrote a how to do ISO 55000 for that, and that had a committee. I didn't get to know them all that well, who were obviously interested in asset management and came from really several different European countries. So we know that there's an interesting network of asset management in European rail, for example. So there's almost certainly more going on than we know. So that was again very interesting. But so you need to we need to find some stuff, and you need to promote them so people get to know what's happening in mainland Europe.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea. I mean, what I'm doing at the moment is all about that. It's interesting. There was a book. I bought a couple of books that were produced in the UK, and one of them was case studies, and it was about 9 case studies.
Was that Chris Lloyd? Was that the international case studies?
I think edited
by Chris Lloyd?
Yeah. Well, three of them were actually jobs I worked on.
Oh yes, well that's not terribly surprising. And I did a case study on RailCorp.
Yeah.
I got permission from whoever was left at RailCorp after I left because it was fairly critical of what RailCorp then did.
Yes.
But so I think I feel proud of the fact that my case study was the only one that said that things weren't all working swimmingly. I think Scottish Water had a case study in there too, didn't they? So it's interesting case studies. And I think there's a rumour that Chris Lloyd is reworking that. However, I have to make a plug, because Chris Lloyd is one of the most interesting people who ever worked in asset management. Not only is he not an engineer, but he's really an entrepreneur who spotted that asset management was a great opportunity. And he started AMCL, and he's such an interesting person, just not like any asset manager you've ever met.
Give me his details and I'll have him on one of these videos.
Oh, he's absolutely fabulous person. Do not call him English, of course he's Welsh, but he's British. But so of course he was a colleague of mine, and he did quite a lot of things for the IEM. So things like the competencies framework, the professional certification ladder, all of that was really under his chair. He's fascinating. You should definitely.
I'd love to.
He's a character.
To talk to someone like that.
He's not really that involved in asset management anymore. He's doing other things. But he's a great character. But he started AMCL, and I didn't finish the story on AMCL. I'm in the North America team. Where I was there, I did the first job ever AMCL did in the US. It was me teaching MTA, and now we're like 35, 40 people in North America alone, and AMCL is 180, 190 people around the world. From starting from, and it just shows you that the market for asset management, of course, has grown. I mean, asset management could have gone a different way. It could have been like, okay, there's another latest thing, but it's not what's happened. Anybody who does any kind of consultancy in asset management is, as you know, is run off their feet around the world, and we have a huge team in Saudi Arabia, of all places.
Yeah, I've
where
seen.
They're very investing like there's no tomorrow in asset management.
I've seen articles about Saudi Arabia and places like that, and I've seen advertising for asset management capability over there. So certainly a need.
We now have a team based there.
And when you're building, you've got a building a kilometre high. You need to have asset management.
Now, I wasn't really paying attention. I've never been to Saudi because when I was first teaching, involved in any of this, I couldn't have got into Saudi. They didn't give women visas, So I was like, okay, they don't like me, I don't like them. I'm teaching somebody right now who is the asset manager for the line.
Well, there you go.
Now the line, of course, it hasn't even let all the contracts for design and build. But talking to her about asset, so she was hired. She's in Australia, hired to be the asset manager before we've even finished design on the line in Neom. It's really fascinating talking not only about the project, which is fascinating, but how again somebody had the sense to get an asset management manager in right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring, actually.
And that's where there is hope. I thought I was going to retire, and the 40 years I've done, you think to yourself, are they going to move forward? Well, they're already moving forward. Just you don't know about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. Anyway, she actually said to me yesterday, keep an eye on, what I'm doing and publicize, because she feels like she's trying to break new ground. It's not the first time that I've taught asset managers on things which have not yet been designed. And I think it's a great move. High Speed 2 in the UK hired asset managers before they'd even decided on the route. So right from the beginning, it's built in, and it is really inspiring. But of course, they're all making their own. What does it mean to be an asset manager of something that's not even designed?
Yeah.
I think there's lots to do for an asset manager. But there are still people around who think asset management only starts once you've built something. And I'm like, no, it's got to start right at the beginning. No. So I think that's a really interesting area to watch this space. You know what? If you want to interview her, she's terrific. And she's Australian, ex-BHP, where I'm sure she did some very interesting BHP stuff as well. And she has to be tough, I'm sure, in such a huge. It's 550 billion.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous
project.
It's a ridiculous amount, isn't it? If you're going to spend that much capital, you've really got to tidy up the maintenance.
Get it right. Yeah.
Save some money on maintenance.
Yeah, you should interview her, because she's fascinating. She says it's going to take 9 years of her life in Saudi.
Oh yeah.
On site, basically. Which isn't that fantastic? So,
yeah, it is.
So we've got asset management has stretched, I guess, more than we ever imagined.
Absolutely.
Back at the end of the 90s.
Absolutely. And it begs the question now. I mean, what I've found is with artificial intelligence coming out now, the amount you can do and the amount of information you can push out is tenfold what it used to do.
I guess that's the advantage. I mean, of course, first of all, it scares me stupid. And second, chatbots are as dumb as they look, of course. How to write convincing nonsense, picking up stuff that people have said that's nonsense, and then, but of course, they don't know it's nonsense. But yes, I mean, I'm too old, Sally. I'm not that interested. I mean, I did some AI when I did my master's degree, and I thought it was exciting then. But I'm thinking, like, no, I can live without AI. But hopefully, we're going to get a bit more sophisticated about information. There's still a long way to go. We do not use information as much as we should. Asset managers maybe should know a bit more about things like data analysis than they do. I have to make a plug here. It's one of the things I'm very interested in. I work with quite a range of organizations in America. And I've observed that where asset management teams have done very well from sort of scratch, they have, by accident, luck or judgment, ended up with really first-rate data analytics skills. I don't mean tools. It's nothing to do with tools.
No, the analytics. Enjoyed this video? Press the like button and subscribe. If you'd like to see more, please click on the Patreon link below and sign up.